Hello everyone and welcome to our second live Q&A. This time we've got another very special guest. We've got Rob Paternostro, who's head coach of the Leicester Riders. So welcome, Rob.
Hello.
Oh yeah, right. What I've done is I've asked our social medias just any questions that they have, and I've got a few of my own I've just put in there as well. So I'll kind of work through them. We'll have a nice chat and see where we get to. That's all right?
Okay.
First of all, obviously, very, very different situation at the moment with lockdown. How have you found it? Kind of been stuck in the house for so long, obviously with a newborn as well. How's it been?
Yeah, it's been challenging, rewarding, it's time to get back to basketball. No question. I've missed it so much. But as you said, my son Alessandro was born in late February. This has been good in some ways because I've been with him, just about every day, full day. And my daughter Ava's 4. So the combination, we've certainly been busy, my wife and I. You read about people being a little bit bored and all that. But there's no boring here. It's been full on. It's been busy. I also have an 18-year-old, but he takes care of himself. So yeah, it's been some good family time though. Really, I think that being able to be around Alessandro all this time as he's developing has been a lot of fun.
We found the same. Jacob's just turned 1, so we've had the chance to see him walk for the first time and things like that. So it's been nice. That certain positives to come out of a very difficult situation anyway.
Yeah, and listen, I think that we're so lucky to be able to spend this time, but also we want to get back to work and get back to basketball, and I'm excited that it could be around the corner.
Mm-hmm. So how did you get into basketball? What kind of gave you the motivation to start playing and when you were younger?
Yeah, growing up in the time I grew up, you had to go outside. I mean, my dad was a big believer in, once you got up in the morning, which was early, you had to go outside. We didn't really sit around the house, and not many video games back then. Going outside in my neighborhood, I was lucky to grow up in a place where there was a lot of older kids, and I was able to join in right from the beginning with them. And I think that from an age of 4, 5, 6 years old, playing sports was something I realized that I wanted to do every day. And it didn't matter what sport it was. Basketball was one of them, but I played sports every single day, and I think that it was a wonderful, wonderful way to grow up.
Yeah, I think that's important, a wide range of sports when people are younger, just to kind of just enjoy being active and playing, and then you find your love for a certain sport or whatever further down the line, don't you?
Yeah, for me, it was, I didn't make a choice until I went to university. I had to
Mhm.
pick baseball or basketball at that point. I had a lot of schools that were interested in me in both. But yeah, I believe that playing, a lot of sports helps you in your individual sport that you choose. Some of the skills that you pick up in different sports, you could see being utilized on a basketball court. The throwing in baseball, I was able to throw the ball pretty good with the basketball, and
Mhm.
footwork with soccer. I played a lot of soccer. So yeah, I played a lot of tennis. So it was a great way to grow up. And the other thing about playing multiple sports, you meet so many different people, and you meet people from different classes and different types, and you also are playing in a lot of games. Playing so many different games kind of teaches you how to win instead of train.
Mhm.
I think that when you play competitive sports, where I grew up at 11, 12, 13 years old, you're trying to win, and you're trying to win championships. And so I think that certainly helped out for me, is not only picking up a multitude of skills and all that, but you're playing to win at such an early age.
Mhm. So, it was in 2000 that you moved to the UK, was it? Yeah. How did that come about? Um,
Well, yeah, interesting story, because I played from '95. I got out of school in '95, and I played from '95 to '98. In '99, I stopped playing and I worked at ESPN. So I worked at ESPN for a year, which was, it was about 20 minutes from my home in Connecticut. I got a job, and I ended up working on the NBA Tonight. So I was working on a highlight show with 6 other people every night. We were watching the NBA, doing a lot of different stuff there. That was awesome. But I got a phone call from an agent, and he asked me if I wanted to come back. And there's a team in England, in Birmingham, England, that wanted to talk to me about playing.
Mm.
And I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew a player in the league at the time. His name was Terrell Myers. I've probably heard of him. Great player for Sheffield. He's from Connecticut. So I called him and I asked him, and he thought that would be a great spot for me. He had a lot of good things to say about the league, and he thought it would be good for my game. So yeah, I took the leap and came back to playing basketball in 2000, and as we are in 2020, I'm still in the UK. So with kids that speak with British accents. So I could have went a different way in '99. Could have stayed in TV and or maybe got into coaching in the US or whatever. But coming back to play basketball in the UK, was a great decision for me.
So how long were you at Birmingham for?
I was there for 2 seasons, and then I moved to the Belgian league. But I played for Birmingham for 4 different seasons, I would say. I mean, I always, lived there until I moved up to Leicester. But yeah, I was with the Bullets for 4 seasons. I played with the Birmingham Panthers for 1 as well. So I believe that's correct. When you get to this point, you start forgetting about years and numbers. I have to look back sometimes and go, what year was that? But yeah, I think so. So I enjoyed Birmingham. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I mean, the first couple of years were awesome. The league was fantastic back then. I mean, it was interesting because the All-Star game was on the BBL channel the other night, and the YouTube channel. And that was my first year in the league. And looking back at all the players on the 2001 All-Star game, you could see how much talent was in the league. So it was a fun time to play. I enjoyed the city of Birmingham. Met so many great people there. So it was a good decision.
Is just speaking about All-Star games, is that something that you think would be a good fit for the BBL now, like an All-Star kind of format again?
Yeah, I think so. I guess as it when it stopped, I think it turned into what you don't want is you don't want it to turn into a non-competitive game. And I think that's where it was at the end of it. I think you want it to be competitive. But yeah, I think any all-star game or all-star weekend or anything like that would be great. I think the players, would enjoy it. And I also think the fans would enjoy it. But I always like those events where the whole BBL come together. And I think that, when you go to these finals, you see that. You see the fans and from other teams that come together. I remember when I first played in the league, they used to do a lot of, once in one site and 4 games would be at one site. I used to love that as well. So I think that any kind of event that we do, we could bring the fans from other teams together to watch basketball is always a good thing on and off the court.
So after playing, you moved. Did you move straight into coaching? Did you go straight to
Yeah, I played for the Riders in 07, 08. And then I played for Birmingham Panthers in 08, 09. No, I think it was 607, 07, 08. 08 played for Panthers. So yeah, I was teaching at the time, and I think we'll get to that in a bit, but I got a message from the Riders if I would be interested in interviewing for the job. So yeah, I interviewed for the job, and I got the job, and that's when it began. But I did keep the teaching job at the same time, which was certainly a hectic year.
Yeah, as a teacher myself, I can't imagine doing something else alongside it. So what is it that you like? What did you teach?
PE. Yeah,
Right.
I was at a school in Birmingham teaching PE, Holly Lodge High School, and I didn't know how the coaching was going to go. I didn't want to give up this teaching job that I really liked and really enjoyed. So because we practice in the evening, I was able to do that. I mean, 2 different cities, obviously. So the other side of Birmingham, all the way up to Leicester every night. It was challenging, a lot of driving, but I felt like let's give it a shot because I love the game, and I wanted to see if it would work out for me.
So was it just the 1 year that you did the teaching and the coaching side by side, and then you decided?
Yeah. At the end of that first season, we had a great season, and we finished the highest we'd ever finished in the league, and coach of the year. So I sat down with them and I said, well, if I'm going to come back, it's going to have to be, worth my while to come back. And I'm going to have to, give up the teaching job to come back, because I couldn't do that again. And I wanted to move up to Leicester too. So, to be a part of the community and everything. And yeah, we made that happen, and I've been living here now since then. So yeah, it was, after that really good first year that we had, I kind of knew I wanted to push it forward and, become more full time with it.
Have you had any opportunities to kind of move away from Leicester and different coaching jobs, maybe, or have you had any?
You Yeah, I mean, I've gotten contacted on a few occasions, but I've never really entertained it. Which,
Mhm.
from the beginning here, we've had a great relationship with myself, with Russell Levingston, with Kevin Routledge, and the people on the board at Leicester. I loved living here. My son Lucas, I'm sure people around the BBL have saw with me when I was first coming up as the coach. He lived with me. It was just him and I. So it was a great place for him, going through his schooling years.
Mhm.
And I think that, not only did I have a really good job here and relationship with Leicester, and I saw the club doing big things, it was a really good chance to give my son Lucas some stability.
Mhm.
And, he liked living here so much that I never really entertained going anywhere else.
I mean, if you had to pick one of the other BBL teams to coach, which one would you go for?
That's a tough question. There's a lot of good organizations. I don't want to say something to get me in trouble. I would look at some of the teams that have their own venue. I'll just say that. I
Mhm.
think that especially now, being involved with a team that has their own venue, what a luxury that is. And what a nice thing to go to work every day and have a place you call home, the same place. So, it, if I had to pick, it would be something along those lines. But I've never ever entertained that, and I've never had a
Yeah.
conversation with anybody about that, for
Um,
the record.
so which arenas around the country do you enjoy kind of coaching at the most? Which you enjoy visiting?
Yeah, good question. Let's see. Obviously the Eagles I mean, I've only been there once, I believe. Yeah, just once. We only played there once. That's a nice place. I enjoyed that fans interaction with the fans, and even the place. I used to love going to Newcastle. The fans are great. Sometimes they can be a little bit on your back,
Yeah.
literally. We've had a couple of them make contact, but no, I love anytime you go to a place that has passionate fans as a player or a coach,
Mhm.
and it's full. It just gives you a little bit extra edge to compete. So that was always a great place to go to. When you look around the league, trying to think of some of the other places that I enjoy going to. Glasgow, although it's far, it's a good environment up there too. And for me, what's nice being around the league for so long. Remember, it's 20 years since I first started playing in the league. I have people that I know very well at each arena or each venue. When I walk in now, there's 6 or 7 people that I've seen for a long, long time. So, I do enjoy catching up with them, and it's the volunteers especially, and the fans that have supported the BBL so well. So, yeah, I think that's one of the things that being around the game so long is the relationships you have with not only your club but with other clubs around the league.
Um,
And I used to like going to Newcastle as a player because Dave Forrester, when he was a fan, was a real mouthy in the front row. Uh, so that used to be fun. We used to have a running dialogue throughout the whole game when I
yeah.
was a player. So we still do now, but from
Yeah, but just
different
from a different.
different angle,
Yeah.
different angle.
So is there a link? Because Leicester have a women's team, that's kind of attached to the Riders, and the Eagles have a women's team as well. But is there a kind of a link between the men's and women's team? How close are the two teams, or is it completely two separate?
Well, I mean, you come in contact with them, often. So yeah, we don't really work a lot together, but you certainly know what's going on with their program. They've had a couple, I think 3 coaches now since I've been here. So, Coach Harbor, Coach Patel, and Jasper now, Coach Jasper, he we contact each other and we talk about basketball. So yeah, so from a coaching standpoint, we certainly share ideas, and I think it's been nice being involved in our program because we have not only the women's team, as you said, but we're connected with the Loughborough program with Coach Jerem. We're connected with the Charnwood program, Coach Maynard. So there's been so many coaches and so many talented basketball people that have come through here while I've been the Riders coach. So it's been fun to share ideas and to watch them work. There's been so many times where I've watched their games or a practice where I've picked up something that I've used for the Riders. So the more basketball you can watch and the more minds around you, the better. And I've been fortunate to have that here.
Okay, the next few questions are all about kind of recruitment and kind of player recruitment. So have you ever tried to sign any Eagles players in the past that didn't quite work out? 'Cause I know you got Andy Thompson a few years back, and Drew Sullivan's played for both and things like that. But is there anyone you tried to sign?
I don't think so.
No.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, obviously Andy, that was a big signing for us. He's been great for us here, and Drew, I don't think he was with the Eagles at the
No.
time that we signed him. Yeah, but no, I don't think we have. We've never really gotten involved with with any of the players there. Maybe because they were settled up there already and or whatever. So I've brought a lot of new players to the league. When you look at the recruiting, I haven't brought too many players from other teams throughout the years. I think it's a lot of times we've been bringing in new blood, and that has a lot to do with the budget. These established players on teams are going to cost you more, right? So when you go out and get new players, young players, it's conducive to the budget. So not that there weren't Eagle players that I would have loved to have had, but maybe the finances wouldn't allow it.
Okay, one player from last year's BBL season, not with the Riders, who you could sign. Who would you choose from last year's teams?
Ooh, Geddes was pretty good.
Yeah, hands off.
Geddes was pretty good. Fletcher's obviously, talking about Newcastle players. Fletcher, Robinson from the London Lions. These guys are big time players in big time moments. You look at Robinson and Fletcher; those guys are hard to guard. And I look at it from how we have to prepare for teams, and those two guys are very difficult. You have to really have a plan when you play against them. So yeah, when you look at that, the experience that they have and the winning mentality too. Those are two guys that, but yes, they're pretty much settled there, and we'll go on from there. We'll probably have to compete against them again, So, but yeah, those two players certainly stand out because they're difficult to defend.
You mentioned Justin Robertson there for London. What do you think about London moving into Europe, like the European competition next season?
Yeah, it's a challenge. I think that the schedule now in the BBL, if they do it similar, I think they're going to do it similarly with the Cup early and then the games. I think that's important because I think that it's challenging with the travel. When we played in the European competition, the schedule was really tough for us. We were playing Wednesday in Hungary, Friday in Newcastle, Saturday at home, Wednesday in Italy, Friday on the road, Saturday. It was just going around and around. And I remember speaking to the other coaches that we were competing against, and they were amazed that we were, in Italy on a Wednesday night, and we had a game Friday and Saturday in the UK. So I think the way the league is scheduled now will help them. These teams are tough that they're going to play. Obviously, in the Champions League, they drew the Lithuanian team. That's going to be a really tough game. Those teams are really tough. But yeah, I haven't seen their roster yet, to see what they're planning on bringing in. I think one of the things that is good for British basketball is that from what we hear, they've gotten a lot of investment to do this. And I think when you go into Europe, and I think, you got such a better chance with that investment than you do if you're trying to do it, with the normal budget that you have in a BBL season. So I think that if they use that budget correctly, they got an opportunity. That Champions League qualifier though is going to be really tough. maybe they'll if they don't qualify, then maybe they'd settled into the Europe Cup and hopefully they can make some noise.
I mean, did you enjoy that experience of competing in Europe with Leicester? Obviously, you said it was really tough, but you came very close in some of the games. And did you enjoy the experience?
Yeah, yeah, I did. I loved it. Loved it actually. It was fantastic to play against different teams and different styles, and to meet so many different coaches. Who I still am in contact with today. For us in that campaign, it was tough because we had so many injuries that year, and that's another part of basketball that you never know what's going to happen with the injuries. Pierre Hampton was out for 6 weeks, 2 nights before. We were supposed to play in the qualifying game against Bakken, which was a huge blow. We lost Naeem Stevenson after 3 weeks, who came in. So yeah, I mean, it was disappointing because we weren't as healthy as we could have been. And as you said, we had opportunities. I think that when I look back and during the pandemic, I've been able to watch a lot of our old games. And looking back at those games, we were in 4 of them or so where, a couple plays in the fourth quarter go a different way. But I enjoyed it. It was fun. I'd love to do it again. The travel's tough though. I think that we traveled out of London a lot. So when you look at it, we're leaving here early in the morning, 2.5 hours down to London, have to get there early. You wait. If you could travel close to where you are situated, if the airport's close that you could travel from, then it's better off for you because that travel really, really adds up as you go along. But it was fun. It was a little disappointing though because we had 2 Hungarian teams in our bracket. Right. So like no offense to Hungary, but 1 trip was enough, right? I mean, it would have been nice to maybe have, we had 2 different places. It seemed like, going to the same place twice. So I wish that we had, a little more variety and where we were traveling. But we did go to Denmark, we did go to Hungary, and we did go to Italy, and yeah, it was fun.
Moving on, then let's talk about Fab Flournoy a little bit. Because I've seen since 2008 you've been with Leicester. Obviously, Fab, apart from last season, was with Newcastle throughout, and kind of the battles between the 2 teams and the rivalry. Kind of what can you tell us about Fab? How would you describe him?
Unique, yeah. As unique of a player as you're going to come across. I think that my first experience with Fab was that I went to Birmingham. And everybody would talk about Fab when I got there. Obviously the name, yeah, because he wasn't playing there when I got there. He had just left. I think he was with Sheffield. He was with Sheffield my first year. But the name obviously stands out. Who is this guy? Fabulous. But it's so many stories about his work ethic and his determination to succeed. I remember them telling me about they had dropped him when he first got there to a lower team that Birmingham had. He had to work his way back up to the BBL. He did it. And then playing against them, played against them. Wow. Nobody had played harder than he did. And I think that you knew that right from the start when you played against him is, wow, you're in for a war with this guy. He's going to compete all night. And then moving on to the coaching, as a player coach, his ability to carry that team at times, especially on the defensive end, was certainly impressive to see from the sideline. And I think you knew when I took this job that we had to go through them to get where we wanted to get. They were really dominating the league at that point. And, you tried to look at what they were doing and how they were doing it. And, you certainly learned from them. Competing against them was, awesome. I think it was a huge time for the BBL. I think it was a time in the BBL when we started playing the Eagles in all those finals and all those big games. I think the BBL needed that at that time. I think that, from 2004 to 2008 or so, the league was coming uphill a little bit. I think that when we competed in those games, in those finals, it was a big boost for the league because I thought both teams not only had talent, but had good strength, good size, and played the game the right way. And I think that those finals sometimes may have been a little ugly, some of those games, but that was because the teams were competing so hard against each other. There was great deal of respect from me and Fab. There were times where we would yell back and forth at each other for whatever reason, but it was always with respect. And, he's the kind of guy that if I wanted to message him or call him now, he'd be there to talk about anything. And, it was always that kind of relationship off the court. Never talked during the season, but whenever we saw each other, there was a lot of respect there, and it was awesome. It's definitely different playing the Eagles without him there, because he was the Eagles, and the ability to do what he did for so long as a player coach, it'd be hard to see anybody come near that again.
So speaking about obviously the battles and whatnot, have you got a favourite match that you remember between the two teams?
Yeah, I mean, the first one we won, I think, has got to stand out. We won the cup against them. It was the first trophy for the Riders in 11, 12 years or so. We had just lost to them in the final in 2012 playoff final. So the first chance we got to play them again was in the cup in Birmingham. I think that one stood out. That was a great game. We had a good lead. They came back, actually took the lead late, but we made a couple plays. So that game was phenomenal. I think the next year when we won, they had a big lead and we came back and won. Obviously, I'm gonna say the winning games, I remember. But those two stand out. Those ones in Birmingham always was special playing in Birmingham. I know Fab felt the same way too, because he had so many friends in Birmingham, and so for me and him to have both started with the Birmingham organization and to be going up against each other in front of a lot of people we know, share similar friends, those ones stood out. So, I mean, there were some heartbreakers too, if you want to talk about that. I think the one that we had the 11-point lead going into the second leg, and we lost. Calvo had a layup opportunity at the buzzer that would have sent us to the final. That was an incredible game. I think it went into overtime. It's a Sunday afternoon at Sports Central. There's just so many of them. And I think that it was just a special rivalry to be a part of that. I think that a short documentary wouldn't be bad on that. It reminded me a lot of the Lakers-Celtics rivalry that, as someone that grew up in the 80s, that was really drew me to basketball, watching those two teams compete all the time and, the competitiveness there. But it's always been a healthy rivalry. Yeah, we've had some times where there's been some scraps here and there, but I think both teams would tell you over the years that there was, a great deal of respect there.
So let's talk about the Eagles players. One past or present Eagle that kind of really kind of scuppered your plans and really kind of made things difficult for you. Who would you pick?
Yeah, I think Charles Smith has to be. I mean, there's still times where I roll over in the middle of the night and I see another three going in from Charles Smith. We've had times. I remember one final up in Glasgow, a trophy final, where we played well that day. I think it was the final where Fab hurt himself, or he hurt his Achilles. But Charles just making shots, big plays all the time. I think that he was incredible. I think that he just had the ability to let the game come to him and to be there when they needed him, whether it was the third quarter, fourth quarter, late and get whatever. When they needed that run, they had him. He was just at that size and that skill, so hard to defend. Obviously, Fab was tough too, with him on defense, and Trey Moore too. I think Trey Moore, who was a teammate of mine in Birmingham, friend of mine. He was an awesome player too. He was really hard to defend. His ability to score. I mean, I'll tell you a story about him. And teammate of him in Birmingham, he would go days without missing a shots in practice. It was amazing to see, and he was a guy that was really tough to defend too. But there was so many of them. Obviously, Fletcher. Yeah, driving at that size, somebody that's my size, he's driving the lane, and how does he spin the ball the correct way to get it off the backboard to make it go in? So many great players and so many winners. And I think that, you can be a great player, but when you're a great player and a winner, I think that it's really tough to compete against. And the Eagles have had so many of them.
What would you say your personal biggest achievement in basketball was?
Oh,
Just to put you on the spot, you know.
no, that's okay. I think that, you know, when I got the 4-year scholarship to go to university, right? So, you're talking about now I'm 5'9 3/4. Back then, I was 5'8" or so. People were saying that he's good, but he's too small. He's too
Mhm.
small. And when I got those scholarship offers, I had a bunch of them, and to be able to know that I was going to go to school, in the U.S., it's pretty expensive to go to school, university, and to know that I was going to be able to go to university for free was something that was great for myself, for my family. I think that was a huge achievement. I think I was named All-American, Division II All-American my senior year. I think that was having that title, All-American title, I think was huge too. And then I think just with the Riders, being able to be here in this job in a great place, and getting that arena. Once we got that arena, I felt like that was awesome too. So, yeah, it's been an incredible ride for me as a basketball player and as a coach. And I think in times like these, you sit back and you go, boy, I miss it. I want to get back to it, and how lucky I am to, for the most part of my life, been on a team or part of a team, a basketball team. And I think, we all miss that. You miss being around the team. And I think that's an accomplishment in itself to be able to continue to do that, at the age that I'm at.
So looking at next season, are you happy so far with Leicester's recruitment? Obviously, Washington's been signed, and Anderson and Nelson Henry. So yeah, are you happy with kind of where things are going for next season? Because obviously it's a very different time with coronavirus, and I'm sure that delays recruitment for a lot of clubs and things like that. So yeah, how are you feeling?
You know, we, yeah, we've been, it's been business as usual for us, as far as like, we started even earlier this year because the season ended. So you were getting, a lot of players coming through in the emails and talking to agents earlier. So yeah, I'm happy with it so far. There's still some work to be done. This is, I've been doing this for a long time now. Every season's different. There's You could think you have a great recruiting class, and maybe you don't. When they get there, you could think, oh, I'm not sure. So you have to wait till they get there. You have to wait till it's almost like, ordering something online. You really don't know until you see it and how it fits in the house in the corner. Do I fit in it? So yeah, we're happy so far. We have a program now that it's changed so much since when I first arrived. People really want to come to Leicester. I think when I first arrived in the recruiting process, you had to really convince. And I think now people have seen our success. They see our program, and they also see all the players that we've had that have done well in other places. Agents see that too. So yeah, we have a lot of interest to come here. It has to be done within the budget. Obviously, the budgets are going to be a little tighter this year, but they're tighter everywhere around the world. So it's been an interesting recruiting year because of that. But yeah, feel good, and looking forward to some more announcements, and then ultimately looking forward to when they get here. That's such an exciting day, to the first day of practice, and you get a chance to see the guys that you bring in.
NBA, do you follow the NBA? Do you have a favorite team? Any favorite players?
Yeah, I follow the NBA. Lakers have been my favorite team from the time I was 7 years old. Magic Johnson was my favorite player. Nobody will ever come near him. I named my dog Magic as a kid. I loved the way he passed the ball. I mean, that was just remarkable how he could make. I mean, he didn't have to take a shot to be the most valuable player on the floor. I think that really, my game was similar to that, where obviously a foot shorter and a lot less talented, but I love to pass the ball and make people better. And I think that was something that drove me in basketball. And then obviously working at ESPN, that was such an intense year of NBA coverage. You're talking about from 5 o'clock at night to 2, 3 in the morning, just consumed every day by a full NBA schedule. So yeah, I follow the NBA. I'm excited for it to come back. little different where it's at now. But yeah, I'm still a Lakers fan and think they have a great chance to
Yeah, I
win.
was just going to ask, do you think they'll win the championship this year then?
I mean, it's hard to tell with what they're doing down there, right? So they're going to be at a neutral site.
Yeah.
That's going to change the way the playoffs are, right? I mean, what the playoffs have been throughout the years is just great home environments. Oh, we have to go back to LA for game 5,
Yeah.
So who knows, right? I think it's wide open because of that. But when you look at the way they were playing before, I think they had an excellent chance to get far. The Davis LeBron combination, as people predicted before they got together, would be tough, has been really tough. And I think everybody was looking towards the playoffs. How are you going to stop those two in the playoffs? So yeah, let's get it back and watch those games and see. But I do think they have a good chance.
Let's see. Oh, this is a question I ask kind of everyone we have on the kind of the Instagram story takeovers as well. But what's your opinion on pineapple on a pizza?
No way, not a chance. I think that Nicolina Paternostro, my grandmother, God rest her soul, a wonderful cook. She made pizza herself. She'd roll over in her grave if I had pineapple on pizza. So I'm going to say no to that.
No. We mentioned the All-Stars, kind of like the traditional like NBA style All-Star weekend before. What's your opinion on the All-Stars format that we have currently? The kind of like the 5-point shots and the shorter games and things like that. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, as a coach, it's tough. I think that it's so unpredictable. It's very difficult to get a handle on the rules. That whole buzzer thing, last year there was some controversy with it. The substitutions and all that. But as a fan, when I'm not coaching in it, love it. I actually loved watching it. I think that it's exciting, fast paced. It's interesting. I think that you really, and it's another one of those events where the whole league comes together. I love that. The whole league comes together. You get to watch all the teams play, especially early in the season. You get to see the new players. So I do like it. As a coach, it's by the time you walk out of there, especially if you play a lot, we've been fortunate enough to go pretty far in the competition. By the time you walk out of there, your head's spinning because it's certainly challenging.
Do the players enjoy it? Like, is it a good day for the players? Are they kind of enjoying the experience?
I think so. Yeah, I never really got any complaints from the players on that. I think they've enjoyed it. I think it gets tough on their bodies as it goes along. I think that they're not really used to the stopping and starting. I think that's a challenge for the players. But I think they enjoyed competing in it, and I think that there has been a good atmosphere. Have we done it for 2 years? Is it 2 years now? There's 3. Might be 3.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
3. Yeah, I think there's always been a good atmosphere at it too, and players love to play in a good atmosphere. So I've heard positive feedback from them. Other than the fact that you have to wait around sometimes, you get your body gets cold, so that's a little bit challenging. But other than that, I think it's been good.
I think I'll finish on one last question. If you can, what would be your all-time BBL kind of starting 5? If you can.
Since I've been here? You mean since I've been here?
Yeah. So let's go since you've been in the league. Yeah.
That's tough. Sullivan, putting him right in the lineup to start. No matter what guys you have around him, he can fit into any situation on the court. I think that was the brilliance of Drew, is that if you wanted him to play on the wing, he could. If you needed him to post, he could. If you needed him to bring the ball up, he could. And he was such a winner. He's got to be on there. It's interesting about Drew is it didn't matter if he was playing in the Olympics or if he was playing in Leeds in front of 10 people. Mm-hmm. He still had pride to compete. Sometimes it's tough for a guy that is getting to that level, played the Big East Conference, and you're playing up in, say, Leeds, and no offense, Leeds, but there's like 10 people in there, and no different. So he's going in that team. Charles Smith's going in that team. The shooting ability was off the charts. As a player, John McCord as a player, played against him a lot, played against him in a final. He was awesome too. He was another player, position didn't matter. Trying to think of guards. I mean, put me on the spot. There's so many of them. I'm going to go with I thought John Thomas at Cheshire when he was playing was tough. He was, for me, in the league at that time as a point guard, he had to guard all these guys. He was so tough to guard. His speed and quickness and his shooting ability was tough. Terrell Myers was a great player as well. At Sheffield in London, he was another guy. He went to the Spanish ACB and put up big numbers there. Is that 4? I need one more.
Might be, yeah.
I think that's 4. I need one more. Do I have one more in me? I don't want to just say Riders players. That wouldn't be fair. Let's see. I would say because it's the Newcastle side, I'll pick a Newcastle player, right? I'll go Fab because I just think that his ability to defend, he went unnoticed in the box score, but his ability to defend and lead on the court, I think was remarkable, and that goes to show you in his trophy haul.
I think it's a nice way to end talking about Fab again, because as you say, he made such a difference to Newcastle and kind of to the BBL as a whole. And now he's off in the NBA with Toronto. So
yeah, awesome.
But I really appreciate your time, Rob. Thanks for kind of coming on and chatting to us and being really honest and kind of answering the questions that we all had. And just want to say I can't wait to get back to battling with you.
Yeah, I can't wait too. And to all the Newcastle fans, I honestly I made so many good friends with a lot of them. Awesome fans. And keep yelling at me. I love it. I mean, it doesn't it doesn't really hurt my feelings. So, I mean, I remember one time in Newcastle, somebody in the Metro, it was funny. Somebody in the Metro Arena yelled to me, "Hey, Rob." And I looked over and I saw, I have rabbit ears, so I looked over and said, "Stand up." And I thought that was funny. I was standing up at the time. So funny lines coming up north. We'll look forward to it again. Always a fun time to battle with Newcastle and to meet fans like yourself.